Today we are diving into some of the most common myths and misconceptions that you have probably heard from health to history. Let's see what's truth and what's not. Our first myth is one that many parents worry about. But does sugar really cause hyperactivity in kids? The idea that sugar makes kids hyperactive is a common belief, but it might surprise you to learn that this myth started from just one study back in mid-1970s. In that study, a doctor removed sugar from a child's diet and the child's behavior seems to improve. But here is the thing, since then we had more than a dozen bigger studies and none of them have proven that sugar leads to hyperactivity in kids. What's really interesting is that tends to think their kids are more hyperactive when they believe they add sugar even they haven't. In one experiment, parents were asked to rate their child's hyperactive after drinking something they thought contained sugar. What they didn't know was that the drink was actually sugar-free. But guess what? The parents still rate their child as more hyperactive, showing just how powerful expectations can be. So, while it's tempting to blame sugar for a child's energetic behavior, the real cause might just be our assumption and not the sweet stuff itself. You have probably heard it before, cracking your knuckles will give you arthritis. But is this true? Let's explore the science behind this common myth. The belief that cracking your knuckles causes arthritis has been around for a long time. Some people claim that the popping sound is bad for your joints, leading to arthritis over time. But how accurate is the idea? Let's look at what the research says. The science behind knuckles cracking. The pop you hear when you crack your knuckles is actually bubble bursting in the synovial fluid, the fluid that lubricates your joints. When you stretch or bend your finger, it creates negative pressure, causing the bubble to burst. It is similar to the force responsible for braking hydraulic blades and ship propellers. But does this vibration cause harm? Several studies have looked at whether habitual knuckle crackers have a higher risk of arthritis compared to those who doesn't crack their knuckles. The results? No significant difference in rates of arthritis. In fact, the evidence suggests that cracking your knuckles doesn't raise your risk for arthritis. It might annoy the people around you, but it doesn't damage your joints. So, does cracking your knuckles cause arthritis? The answer is no. The popping sound is just gas bubble bursting in the synovial fluid. While it might seem intense, it's not harmful to your joints. Let's explore this widely held myth and reveal what science has to say about it. The origin of this myth is unclear, but there are several possible sources. It might have started with a 1907 article by physiologist William James, who argued that humans use only part of their mental resource. However, he didn't specify a percentage. The 10% figure gained popularity after appearing in Dale Carnegie's 1936 book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Since then, it has been repeated in articles, TV shows, and even movies, spreading widely. The 10% myth is just that, a myth. According to the neurologist, almost part of the brain are active most of the time, even when performing simple tasks. Functional magnetic resources and other brain imaging techniques shows that how much the brain is in use, even during resting or sleeping state. Activity levels are varied depending on what you are doing or thinking about, but the majority of the brain active. One theory behind 10% myth is that neurons make up to 10% of brain cells. However, even if that's true, it doesn't mean we only use 10% of our brain's capacity. The brain's weight about 3 pounds and contains around 100 billion neuron cells that carries information. Each neuron connects with thousands of others, forming complex networks. These connections are what allows the brain to process information, make decisions, and perform complex tasks. The brain is always active, even when you are not conscious thinking about anything. So, do we only use 10% of our brain? No. The truth, we use much more. The brain is a complex organ that continuously working to keep us functioning even when we are asleep.